Okay, so today I'm going to be going on a hike and reviewing a few books for you guys. This hike is going to be pretty chill. It's more akin to a forest walk. Today it's pretty smoky though, kind of cloudy. So if you do see a little haze from that smoke, sorry about that. But yeah, I'll just walk a little bit more and then give you the review on the first book here. We're just starting down the trail now. Pretty green given the cloudiness still, so that's good. Sorry if you guys can hear a little bit of the sound of the cars. This trail does go a little bit close to the road there, so sorry about that. But yeah, the first book that I'm going to be reviewing here is The Three Body Problem, and this one I'm going to give a 4.5 out of 5, and I'm really glad that I read it. I'd recommend that you guys read it as well. One of the things that I really liked about this book was the blending of the science fiction concepts there. I felt like that was done really well, wasn't forced at all. I thought that the high-tech video game aspect to it felt really well connected to the other science fiction part there that I'm not gonna spoil for you guys. Another thing that was really masterful in this one was the connection to the real historical events and the parallels that you could see there. I thought that the author's mention of these historical events actually helped readers draw those connections there, so I thought that was an important choice. Another thing the author did well was the characters, especially the villain here. I thought that her story, her arc was really interesting, and I thought that it was done well. The comedic character also felt like, well, he was funny, first of all, and then also he did have an explanation as to why he was in certain rooms there, which was his intelligence, right? So there was a logical reason for him to be there. One thing here that I didn't like that takes a few points off the rating is the over explanation for a lot of the science fiction concepts. So I thought that that was just a little bit unnecessary. In a lot of the cases it was just over explained, so that could have been toned down a little bit there. Sorry, there's a fly. But yeah, overall, I really recommend this book. I feel like there's so much to say about this book and I could just go on and on and on. So I would highly recommend that you read it for yourself and check it out. So on the ground here, you guys can see some like remaining fluff. I believe it's from dandelions. But yeah, it was really common a few weeks ago. There was so much just blowing in the air, and I think a lot of it settled here. You can see it's kind of been trampled on in the main trail here, but on the side, you can see it more clearly. It's pretty cool. There you can kind of see on the other mountain there, the haze from the smoke. It's not too bad today, has been worse, but yeah. This is pretty cool as well. You can see the sap from this tree just going up there. Here we've just come to a slight clearing in the trail that connects to another trail going up there, so we're gonna make our way up there. There's some cool berries here. They almost look like blueberries, but I'm not gonna test that theory. I don't think they are. So one of the main problems with filming in the forest here is the amount of flies, but I'm gonna just post up here and talk about a book, which is The Clockwork Orange. And this one, I'm gonna rate a 2 out of 5. For me, I just did not like this book. I thought that it was pretty overrated. It was a reread for me, but it had been so long since I originally read it that I forgot basically everything. I thought it was interesting how he chose the subject of violence there, but overall, I just didn't like the book. I thought that the use of slang was incredibly rampant, and that that kind of rampant use of slang does justify a really remarkable novel, and in my opinion, it just wasn't as remarkable as it should have been there. Sorry for all the flies. That is just the reality out here. I also did like though how he included another perspective there, like added in another side that was taking advantage of the protagonist there. That made the story feel more well-rounded instead of just saying, oh, it's these bad guys and this protagonist. He was saying there were other ways that people could take advantage of the situation. I thought that was a really good addition. But yeah, overall, it just was not the best book, and I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, I'm gonna get out of here before the flies eat me alive. Pretty cool area in the path here. You can see this is just all brought up, and then there's this little bump. This is a mountain biking trail as well, so that kind of explains the bump here for you guys, almost like a little ramp. So the next book that I'm going to be talking about is Black Beauty by Anna Sewell, and this one I'm going to give a 4 out of 5. I thought that it was done really well, and I'm glad that I read it. I enjoyed reading from Black Beauty's perspective and thought that that was done pretty cool. I also liked how in this story there were different conversations about more philosophical topics like alcoholism, ignorance, etc. there. The author was also really good with her use of vivid imagery there, and especially one scene really stuck out to me, and that was the fitting of the horseshoes. I thought that she really brought readers into that moment and made you realize the cruelty that was going on there. Another just interesting thing about the setting in this book was that it was set during a time period when horses were such a big part of people's lives. So it was cool to see that difference there, and really made me grateful for cars and grateful that horses, as not as many horses have to suffer. But yeah, this book was pretty well done. I would say that it's a little bit more gentler compared to a Call of the Wild, where you felt more in touch with the animal's animalistic nature. Sorry, there are so many flies. Yeah, I felt like, yeah, it was more gentler compared to Call of the Wild, where you were more in touch with the animal's animalistic nature there. And I did kind of not really like how there was more of a focus on the good in Black Beauty's life here, with the more peaceful times and the good masters he had, because that almost in a way made it seem like he was accepting his slavery, or it was kind of painting that slavery in a good light. Though that kind of perspective does help you understand how some slaves could just accept their circumstances and not fight back in a way. So yeah, I enjoyed this book. I thought that it was well written. I would recommend that you guys read it. Really nice clear view to the mountain over there, and you can see a little bit of the houses as well peeking through. Log here, you can see some mushrooms growing. You can also see the flowers back there. It's really cool to see just that biodiversity going on. This is such an interesting tree. Like, you can see in the trunk there's this, like, I don't even know what that is, just like some kind of breakage, but the rest is fine. This is a pretty cool area of the trail as well, where you can see the tree just kind of break up there and the trail go on top of it. Ooh, a bird. Oh, two roads diverge. I think I'm gonna go on the upper trail there and then see if it leads me back down the same way. That's okay, but yeah, two options to go through here. So the next book I'm going to be talking about is Catch-22 by Joseph Heller, and this one I'm also going to give a 2 out of 5 there, and I wouldn't recommend reading it. This one I had really high expectations for, but as I was reading it, I kept finding myself not excited to read the next part, which is pretty rare for me. So this book just felt like a bit of a slog, if I'm being honest. I will say there were some important and interesting concepts discussed there, but it just wasn't done that well. I thought the time jumps were super annoying. I will also say that I also thought that it was hard to find a connection to a lot of the characters there, and that could have been done better. But I do think Yossarian was a good choice of the protagonist there, and he was likable and funny in his own way, so that was a good choice there. But yeah, overall, just not the best book, not for me personally. Sorry. Nice, the sun is coming out a little bit more now, which is great. So the last book that I'm going to be talking about is The Help by Kathryn Stockett, and I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5 here. I really enjoyed this book. I thought that it gave a great look into the lives of the African Americans during that time period in the South, and I thought that by reading it, it really sparked my interest to learn more about that, and it'll probably spark yours if you do end up reading it. I thought the characters here were also done well, and I liked how the author stuck to 3 main characters instead of dividing it up among a lot of different ones. I thought that the villain was also interesting here because her actions, they didn't seem that big of a deal, especially on the surface and from a certain character's perspective. But when you really look into them, you can see the viciousness, cruelty, and calculation that she put into there. I also liked the book that was being written inside of the book here, and I almost found myself wishing that it was a real book that I could read. A thing about this book though that I found lacking was the atmosphere here. I personally really enjoy books where you can really feel the environment and feel the atmosphere, feel the flies come into your face. But yeah, so I really would have enjoyed being able to feel Jackson, Mississippi through the pages a little bit better there. So that's why it's not above a 4-star for me. But overall, it's a really amazing book that has a lot of important historical information there for you and a real insight into what was going on. One thing also that I didn't love about this book was who was telling the story. And while I can see it was completely logically necessary to the story, as well as perfect for the message that was being told there with the connection between the African Americans and their white charges, like the white kids there, I could just find myself being a little bit annoyed with who was putting the story all together there at the end. But that's just a minor detail that kind of bothered me. But yeah, overall, really solid book and I recommend reading it. So yeah, that's gonna be the last book that I'm reviewing in this video, but I'm still got a little bit more to hike, so I'll take you along for the last little bit there. Crossing this bridge now, but you can see there is no water down there currently, but yeah, still gotta walk across. So yeah, just making my way through the trees back home. If you look here, you can see a literal like full-on mushroom growing down there. Don't think I'd like to eat that one for dinner though. I'm gonna go buy some from the store instead. Just walking a little bit more down the trail and yeah, we'll be back home soon. Some more cool berries over here. Also won't be eating these, but pretty nice find. So this is actually something really cool. Somebody just painted this rock and left it here. How sweet. So nice. Little robin just chilling out there. And then yeah, there's just another one of those painted stones there. That's so nice. Little nice touch. Okay, so I finished the hike here. Gonna go home now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There'll be more like this one to come, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See you guys.